All right, welcome back everybody. This is Eric from Moss Pawn and Gun, and today we have a little bit of a interesting kind of philosophy type video today. Not really philosophy, but I guess more along the lines of preparedness and making sure that you're ready for anything. This is a video concept that I've been thinking about pretty hard for a while, and what it's going to involve is things that you should probably have in your car. These days, disasters or catastrophes or political unrest, I mean, any of those things can happen at any time, at any place. So basically what your car becomes is like a little mobile battle station. You got to be ready for just about anything at all times. Your vehicle can be a safe haven. It's a mode of transportation, gets you from point A to point B. It can be a recreational vehicle, it can be a survival vehicle, a rescue vehicle, what have you. But most of us just go from point A to point B, and you're not thinking about what might happen in that amount of time or what you might have to do to get to safety in an event of an emergency or disaster. There's several things that I like to keep in the car at all times. One thing, I like to keep a good flare gun. All right, this particular one is a Czech surplus flare gun, a 26.5 millimeter. Very good flare gun. So something like this, if you need to signal for help. Again, a lot of these items, it really just depends on the area that you're in. If you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere and there's a chance that, let's say you've broken down on the side of the road or you're on some icy cliff and it's winter time, whatever the case may be, being able to signal for help is a very handy thing to be able to do. Okay, so with a flare gun, very awesome thing to have laying around. I like to keep a good rifle in the car with me at all times. I always keep a long gun in the car, always. Okay, in this case I carry my AK-74 with plenty of ammunition, extra batteries for my Aimpoint M68. So I got a good rifle just in case I run into problems, severe problems. And then we also have a whole bandolier of ammunition. I've got enough ammo to where if I have to get in a fight, I can. Now obviously I don't want to get in a fight, but if I do, I've got everything I need, all the ammo I need. So those are the things I like to have. A handheld GPS. This is a Garmin Dakota 20. Doesn't have a lot of topography features on a stock unit on it, but this little unit can save your life if you're in the middle of nowhere and let's say you don't have cell phone signal or whatever. I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to have GPS signal, but having a handheld GPS is a nice thing to throw around your neck. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's worth the chance to take it with you with the hopes that it'll work. If it doesn't work, well, plan B. But a GPS is very important. A mobile GPS is something you need to have in your car at all times. Always carry some good flashlights with you. I know a lot of you guys are Surefire guys. I definitely have my share of Surefire flashlights. I've been carrying around this 1,000 lumen. It's a Triton MX3 or M3X rather, made by Olight. They're Chinese lights. I'm not gonna lie, they're not the best lights in the world, but for what they are, they do throw a heck of a beam. They're very powerful, and this particular 1,000 lumen light I've been using pretty extensively out on the ocean and fishing and out on the beach at night, and this little flashlight is holding up great. They don't cost a ton of money. So my overall, I suppose, philosophy on that is that if it gets crapped out or gets lost or destroyed, you're not out a lot of money, but it's still a reliable flashlight that you can trust. Same thing with this little M20 Warrior. Just a good little, I believe this one's a 450 or 400 lumen flashlight. Very good flashlight. We'll be doing a full review on this and the M3X later. But whatever flashlight you choose, just make sure you bring extra batteries. Flashlights come in indispensably handy if you're out on the road. I mean, even if it's just something like a flat tire or an emergency on the side of the road. Let's just say you have to stop for the baby or something and it's hard to see. Flashlight can go a long way in just making you have a lot more comfort on the side of the road. Not to mention they have their tactical uses as well. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I always keep a good boonie hat in my car. because you just never know if you do have to pit and pat, or if you do have to take to the jungle, so to speak. Being able to keep the sun off of you is a very, very important thing. Now, I realize that a lot of us are not always going to have time to pack sunscreen and all that kind of stuff. So to me, a boonie is just kind of a nice go-to thing. Boonie hats, indispensable. This is a first aid kit that Brandy put together for the car. And I'll be doing a full review on this later. But it's basically packed with all kind of different first aid stuff. I actually had a buddy of mine at the range the other day get a pretty good little scratch on his arm, and I was able to whip this thing out, take care of it, good to go, move on with life. I'm not going to go into detail as to what's in it, but it's a pretty extensive first aid kit. It's got lots of wound wash, band-aids, packs, basically just all the good basics, wraps, for making splints. I mean, we'll go into full detail later, but it's got everything that you would need for pretty much basic first aid, okay? So I cannot stress the importance of first aid in your car at all times. Even if you have to put together 2 or 3 of these first aid kits and put one on the boat, one on the car, one of them at work. A lot of people don't think about that. I mean, at your place of employment, wherever you work, make sure there's first aid there, because little mistakes happen, accidents happen, people get hurt, and you got to be able to respond to that need and take care of it, and everything's good to go. Last but not least, I guess this would be item number 5. I always keep a 3-day pack in my car, okay? And what this pack consists of is about 2 days worth of civilian clothing, and it's tactical clothing, a blanket. You want to be able to have clothing to change into. If there's a situation where, I don't know, there's a ton of different, reasons that you might need to have a change of clothing. But let's just say you might have fallen in the water and gotten wet. You don't want to get hypothermia, or the weather profile that you're in, you may need lighter clothing, so you might need shorts or something, or you may need to stay warm at night. Having extra clothing that can fit a wide range of applications is very important. So 2 basic sets of clothes, extra socks, okay, underwear you can live without. You can just go commando on that. You don't need underwear. But what I like to keep in my 3-day pack also is fire making equipment, signal equipment, and I have an emergency blanket. So with the fire making equipment, of course, being able to use those tools to make fire. Let's just say you're stuck somewhere. We don't ever know what's going to happen, and we can't plan for it. So you always want to make sure you have a way to make fire, you have a way to signal, and you have a way to stay warm at night. That can go a long way in keeping you alive, okay? Another thing I also like to keep in my 3-day pack, and again, we will be doing a detailed video on the contents of these packs later. But one thing that I like to keep in my 3-day pack as well is about a day's worth of food. Okay, even if it's just a pack of saltine crackers, some tuna fish, and maybe a jar of peanut butter. That can go a long way if you have, let's say, like a takedown Ruger 1022 in one of these things. Or if you keep a Ruger takedown 1022 with a suppressor on it in your car, well then you got the ability to shoot small game. Add that to what you've already got. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take like ramen noodles and just break them up into little chunks and put them in a giant Ziploc baggie. And that way you can use bits of those ramen noodles as you go. So if you have a way to purify your water, which I do keep water purification tabs in here, you can kill small game. Let's say you want to kill you a couple of rabbits or a couple of squirrels, dress them out, put them in the stew pot along with some ramen noodles. You got yourself a halfway decent meal. I mean, for surviving, that'll work, right? But obviously you guys can probably see where I'm going with this. I mean, you want a means to deal with first aid. You want to be able to deal with the outdoors. I mean, you see that I've got a knife right there. You want to make sure you got a decent knife that you're very comfortable using, that you know is a good solid knife, sharp, everything like that. With these basic tools, if you're out on the road, there's probably not a whole lot you're not going to be able to deal with. Bear in mind that this level of preparedness goes down to you don't know what's going to happen. You know, there's probably guys that are saying, well, you don't need all that crap in your car. That's just taking up room. You're just going to work and back. Well, you say that, but then the minute that something happens, you get caught with your pants down, that's when something, you know, bad is going to come about. So that's generally about it. There's probably other items you want to supplement this stuff with, depending on your individual needs. I mean, obviously, if you're in a very cold environment, make sure you're packing warm clothes, hand warmers, you know, extra fire making stuff, extra tinder. You may even want to pack your own tinder for fire starting if you're in a really, really wet area. It really just comes down to knowing your terrain, where you're at, and what you may experience. And while vehicles and cars are very convenient, they can also pose a risk because you are removing yourself from your comfortable environment and putting yourself in a place where you may not be familiar with the area. You may not know the terrain that well. You may not know the local inhabitants of the area you're in. So all of these things, you have to be prepared for every single scenario that could present itself. So I hope this video was maybe a little bit thought-provoking for you. If you haven't thought about having a loadout type of kit in your car for emergencies, maybe now you do. This is not meant to replace any other type of preparations that you may make for your car as well. I mean, I know a lot of us have, you know, our fix-a-flats, our tire pumps, and our tire plug-in kits, and your road flares and all that kind of garbage. You're going to have that. That's a given. We're talking about the extras. If you want to really go the extra mile and be 100% prepared, this is a pretty good way to round that out. I know a lot of us have extra long guns. We have extra guns of different types. So it's not a big deal to just have an extra long gun in your car at all times. So I appreciate you watching, and hopefully maybe you learned something from this video, or if you have some better ideas on what I'm putting out, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and we may revisit this video later. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.